There's been an explosion of design tools in the last 8 to 10 years for UI and web designers like us. And that's good news because now we no longer have to design websites and apps inside of Photoshop. Good God, was that an awful season of life. And yes, there's some titans of the industry that you probably know and love, but there's also a bunch of new up and coming tools you might not be familiar with, but might be a good fit for you. So in today's video, I'm gonna take a look at one of these up and coming tools called Motiff, which is an AI powered professional UI design tool. I'm gonna give you my honest review and feedback as we take a look at its basic features and all the AI driven features as well. All right, we're on the web at motiff.com. That's motiff.com. And before you ask, yes, this is a sponsored video, but no, I am not going to lie to you. I'm going to give you my honest to goodness thoughts and feedback of this new design tool because they are leaning heavily into the AI positioning here. It's an AI powered tool designed for the AI era. And the interface that we see here, a preview of it, looks very similar to other tools that we won't mention, but you know what I'm talking about. So there's going to be some familiarity. Is that going to sway what I think about this tool? Maybe, maybe not. I'm not sure. And you can sign up for a free account. Obviously, I've already done that. Let's jump into that free account and see what they got going. When I enter into it, again, a very similar workspace. No judgment here, but it does look very, very similar. I have a team that I've already set up. I can set up more teams. I see all of my files. I have drafts, favorites, and I'm in my recents right now. We can click over and see all the projects inside of my team or just head over to drafts or recents. Now, there is going to be a limitation here. It's going to allow you to have one project and 3 files inside of a team. You can have things inside of drafts, but you can't have more than that on the free plan. We'll talk more about pricing later. First, let's talk about Motiff basics. So I'm going to open up a new tab, just double clicked on that, and it's going to load up. And again, very, very similar. Big old free empty canvas here. I got tools across the top. I have my menu here. I have my layers panel down the side, and I have my contextual panel on the right-hand side. So when I click on things, I can find all of the details. Again, does it look incredibly familiar to something you probably know and love? Yes, it does. I'm going to say that no more times because we get it. It looks very, very similar. Now, is it a good tool? What can it do? It can do all the basics, right? I can drag out frames. I can drag out shapes inside. I have a pen tool, a text tool. I have a movement tool, comments. I have some plugins, which is kind of interesting. Not a lot, and there's no community built here yet that have more plugins going, but they do have some interesting things. Like they're already kind of allowing you to go from Motiff to After Effects. You can skew and arc text. You can loop things. We have an unsplash and an icon sort of plugin of some kind. Maybe there will be more, but right now, these are the only plugins we have access to. Now, they also have a bunch of AI tools that looks like they're still in beta. For instance, we have that duplication or reduplication, they call it. We can build out AI layouts. We can do an AI design system creator, maintainer, consistency checker. We can AI generate the UI for you, which is kind of scary and interesting. And you also have that magic box. And it looks like we have quick keys for duplication and magic box, which tells me they're putting an emphasis on having it be very common in your workflow. So let's just dive in a little bit here to our practice file. Yes, obviously we can draw frames. Yes, we have constraints. Notice this. Just like a tool you probably know and love, we have left, right, pinning things all around. We have layout grids. We do also have auto layout. So I can grab elements here and decide if I want to stack them from left to right, top to bottom, wrap them around. All of that is looking really good as well. We have components and we can turn things into components really, really easily, just like that. And we can have instances of our components. Okay, bueno. So far, so good. We have styles and we can apply those styles. And there is basic prototyping, like for instance, clicking on this element, go over to the prototype tab and noodle or wire it wherever we want to go. And look, we have even a very similar prototyping kind of UI happening within the tool. Okay, very good. We have some exporting options, multiple export. You need that, commenting, and the ability to share files. They also have dev mode. Dev mode says that we need to sign up. Okay, so looks like it's $1 a month, or I just pay for just a developer seat, and it's going to be $4 a month for a designer. That's going to give me unlimited files, version history, library, all that stuff, as well as dev mode. So I only have the free account, so I'm I'm only going to review what I can find inside of the free account so that I am very, very honest. Okay, and let's move over to AI generates UI and just see what it can do. Now, I'm going to hit F for frame. Why don't we put an iPhone 14 or 15 on there, zoom in on that bad boy, and then we'll jump over to AI and we will do AI generates UI because that's what we're looking for. Boy, that's a mouthful to say, AI generates UI. Try saying that 5 times fast. But with it clicked, it's going to open up a prompt box for us right here. This is the first time I'm playing with it, so let's see what it can do. Let's try an example. A music app, homepage designed to offer morning music experience. How about a podcast app? Home page, I don't like page, home screen, designed to offer morning podcasts and meditations. So we're going to mix it up, right? And just see what it can do. Let's go ahead and press generate and see what it's doing. It looks like it didn't need me at all to actually lay out a frame. It's just going to take hold and do whatever it wants. Now, it says it's generating 1 out of 2. Interesting that I asked it to design a single design and it decided to give me 2. That's 1. Let's see what it does with 2. Is this a really weird narrow size? It does feel a little weird and narrow to me. I can still work while this is happening also. So me moving around the file and clicking on other things doesn't seem like it's interrupting that AI generation process. Okay. Wow. Okay, let's take a look at it and just see, because we were at a width of 430. This is doing something at about 390. That's not incorrect, because if we open up frames, we do have like an iPhone 13 at 390. Definitely a reasonable size. And here is what it's given me. It's given me the kind of list page, or maybe it's given me 2 versions. Morning podcast, start your day. So a bunch of rows, a bottom tab bar navigation, and a hamburger menu with a status bar. Definitely iOS. In this version, it's given me a little bit more notifications and search here. And I'm just holding down control while I zoom in and out with my mouse. Basic kind of features and functionality. It has given me off-canvas horizontal scrolling elements here. I wonder if they are already linked up for prototype. And it has kind of honored some sort of color system that it's created. You can notice how the active state here is blue on my tab bar navigation. Everything else is pretty neutral, but when we come up here, it's keeping things fairly blue. When I click on it, it's selected some options over here in my context panel for text. It's dropped in iconography. It looks like it's applied auto layout. I could take something like a card here and start to stretch it out. It doesn't quite do what it needs to do. It's fixed. That's okay. With a couple of little shifts and changes, it becomes fairly responsive, and we could then do something like componentize this card. Okay, so the AI to UI process is kind of interesting. Why don't I grab something like this row and I'll drag it out. And why don't we do something like, what was it? Duplication. So I'm gonna hit D on my keyboard and we get some sort of little magic corner that pops up right here. It's gonna allow us to duplicate in whatever direction I want. So I'm gonna drag this down to the side and we get a bunch of different rows. Let's release and see if AI fills in the content. It says it's currently reduplicating, which is kind of interesting. It's taking a little bit of time, but it's doing a lot of work for us. It's filling with imagery, not only imagery, but it's filling with timestamps and morning jam, evening tunes. So they all have to do with music. So the AI is actually pulling relevant data or content types and popping them in place for us. And there's a level of consistency that it's created. That just saved me a bunch of time. That could be very, very useful. All right, now let's take a look at the Magic Box functionality. I'm inside the Magic Box playground, and there's a couple of things that you need to know that I've kind of just briefly taken a look at. And it's that Magic Box is really about doing some assumptive design work for you on what you anticipate or expect to be there based off of the rest of the design in the file. So the AI is trained on a file. In this case, it's being trained on this personalized model here, this virtual music app that we've been using. And AI Magic Box would allow you to add things. So for instance, if it sees that you have a similar layout, I can hit M for Magic Box, and this is where we get to start to kind of like draw our Magic Box. And when we release, it's going to make some assumptions. It's going to say, hey, here's the things that have been on the page, like with similar layouts. And one of them is the exact same card that we had before. We can roll over all the different versions here that might come into play in a layout like this. We could say, yes, give me that one. And just like that, you've kind of added something, which is kind of nice, because if I have repetition or I have consistency at scale in my design and I go, okay, I got like the start to it. Let me rip a piece out. Let me draw a magic box. These are the most common options that I've placed in other designs. That's kind of nice. That's kind of time saving rather than having to go and rebuild it or find it from scratch. You can also target a certain type of component by typing in something like slash. So for instance, we can come in here, and if I was looking for like a header or something like that, I can hit magic box and draw right here. Let's just see if it probably comes up with this. Yeah, it does. Like just by default, it probably knows what we're looking for. Let's say it's something like that. Okay, great. So we've kind of popped that into place. Now we need a segmented control. So I'm going to kind of magic box right there. And let's see if it comes up with our segmented control. It does. Now, in this case, I'm going to magic box, but maybe I want to be a little bit more specific. So I'm going to drag out a magic box, and I'm going to type the slash right here, because it's already starting to try to recommend things to me. Why don't we could either click through the different options that are available to me, or I could type something like row. I did a slash, and then I started typing row, and we get some different things. And maybe it's because I made my magic box too big. The row is actually about this big. Notice how it probably takes into account, yes, it does. So I drew a very big box, and it's saying what can fit in that big box, only those few things. Where if I draw this smaller box, now we get access to things like our card rows. I think it was maybe this one. We could also, for instance, we could do that slash still here and say row, and it's going to research through all of the components that it's been trained on. There it is right there. So again, we can just drag that down below. Looks like we put multiple in there by accident. That's okay, because we could always come in here later and duplicate these and bring them down. But that's pretty close. They got us pretty close. And again, magic box, in the workflow, it's like, hey, draw a similar size of what you have had in the past, and it's trained on the model. It pops things in, it finds them for you quickly, and it allows you to drill down with that slash command to find even more, which is kind of cool. All right, let's check out the consistency checker. You have to hook it into a design system so it's consistent, not in between screens, but consistent with the system. Consistent with the system. You get it. Okay, we're going to press start, and it's going to do the AI consistency checker for us right now to see if it can find anything that is wrong. Okay, it's checking. It has finished, and it tells us there is some unused same property styles available. And so maybe it is talking about certain colors that are on my design right now. And if I replace all three layers in this page have been replaced. Same thing here. I'm gonna have to just trust that it's hunting for styles within the design system, because no components were updated, but apparently there were colors that were updated, which is fine. All right, next we're gonna play out with the AI layout features we have here. If you go up to AI, you could drop down and see we can build temporary structures or add auto layout, which could be very convenient. Let's head in and grab one of our elements here. You can see that it's just a frame and it's kind of loosely arranged inside. Nothing's using auto layout, and maybe we want to add that auto layout. So we'll go auto layout, or AI layout adds auto layout like that, and let's see if it will do it. Sure enough, it has added auto layout there. So it's dropped the whole thing into an auto layout. Pictures on the left, we're stacking from left to right. All of our text inside has been turned into auto layout, which is very interesting. But the next thing we have the ability to do is actually to use the other option. AI builds temporary structure, and apparently that's going to rearrange and kind of organize our files. So let's grab the whole thing and say temporary structure. AI is building a temporary structure. Give it a try. Has been built a temporary structure by AI. Now you notice a couple of things over on the left-hand side. This whole layer called give it a try has been restructured, and it has this little line on the left-hand side denoting that something's happening there. And we also, next to our entire artboard here, we get this little AI tag, and if we click on it, we can save the auto layout, or we can be done. So this is kind of a temporary version. Let's see what it does. Does it mess up our layout a whole lot? And it doesn't seem like it has. If we want to be done, we can hit right there. If we want to save the auto layout, boom, just like that. It has replaced what was there with the newly implemented auto layout. So this is kind of like a draft feature almost, it feels like, which is kind of interesting. All right, next up, let's take a look at this design system creator, which I think could be kind of interesting. We can come in here and hit design system creator, and then we can choose a file. So let's choose this mosaic sample file here and go ahead and start recognizing. So this is where the AI magic is supposed to kick in. It's supposed to search this entire file and turn it into a design system for me. Now, what might be kind of helpful is that we go back and just take a look at this sample file, because not everything is componentized in here, right? We have just a lot of design elements. There are some components, but we basically just have a design and it's laid out in the actual screens. And what our design system creator is supposed to do is actually build that design system out of the file that we've suggested. So this is more than just a Teams library and linking them. This is taking a design file and saying, let's make that my design system. And from here on out, be able to reference that design system. Now, this is also where you'd be able to reference the consistency checker. So that file that we've created, that design system that we built with AI, we want to use that to check the consistency of our other files that we're building over here. Kind of an interesting concept. Let's see how it does. Okay, we're all done. It says it detected 3.6 thousand layers and the AI recognition is complete and it's saved in our drafts. We can view it now and it'll open us right up to our design system that's been created. So it has maybe created an onboarding file here for us, trace applications, where and how many times it's being used. It shows us how to publish the library. This is just giving us a little bit of a kind of start to it. And it looks like it's built out this design system file. So let's check color here. So this did not exist. This is a brand new file and it's just populated it into a design system. You may love or not love how it's formatted here, but it has gone ahead and done something, which is kind of nice. The typography is all listed out for us. The effects have been listed out for us. Iconography is put here. We have things like buttons and lists. Everything is separated. And so we can publish this as a library and reference these in all of the different sections. So you can see here dialogues and pop-ups and toasts and notifications and tabs and tab bars. So the idea here is that it's done all the formatting and presentational and organizational work for us, so we don't have to build that design system ourselves. It took a file, a raw file, and then it built everything off of it. Now, I'm assuming that that file's components are very, very useful to have and to make sure that you're naming things appropriately. How smart is the AI? I'm not really sure, but it is interesting to say the least that you can fast forward and skip all of the minutia and the busy work of building your design system out. All right, let's talk about my final thoughts here on Motiff as a design tool. Is it a good design tool? Is it right for you? Do I recommend it? What are my thoughts? Well, let's start with the obvious. It looks very, very similar to Figma. Let's just be outright and honest. It looks almost as if it's a clone, but is that necessarily bad? I'm not sure. I'm not sure how I feel about it. It feels comforting. Feels like I'm using Figma from a couple years ago without all the new UI3 changes. It feels like I can slide right into it and start using it. So if you're somebody that wants to make the switch, then you're going to feel probably right at home. There's going to be some little nuances and things you'll probably have to get used to, where the toolbar is, how certain things work, but the key commands and everything feels pretty natural if you are a Figma user. Let's talk about the next big question. Are the AI tools cool? Because really, this whole thing is positioned as an AI tool, as a tool that is really driving, or AI is really kind of driving the tool itself. So are those AI tools worth it? Are they worth the switch or the squeeze? I'm not sure at this point. I think they have legs. I think they have some good momentum. I think they have possibilities, but I'm not sure right now if what they're delivering is impressive enough for me to really lean on them. Now, that's not necessarily a bad thing because it's a decent enough tool. Very functional, can do all the basic stuff. Very dependable UI design tool that I could definitely imagine some people out there using. Now, the AI tools are not going to carry it for me, are my thoughts on the AI tools. But If they are a product that is really hyper-focused on integrating AI, then I could see them really going in that direction and the snowball effect, the progress happening very quickly when it comes to how they utilize and implement AI inside of the tool. So it has potential, I'll say that. Now, what might make somebody switch to Motiff? Maybe you're using another tool like Figma or Sketch or some other tool. I'm not really sure. What might make you switch? I think number one, and for me, the biggest thing right now that might make you switch is the pricing model, because it's $4 a month for a professional plan here that gets you unlimited everything, and $1 only if you just want to have dev mode. So if you're a really small team and you need to, for instance, invite other people in, either clients or developers or like offshore teams, and they just need dev mode, $1 a piece sounds pretty enticing. I do not know whether or not that pricing model will stay. So if you switch everything over, and as Motiff continues to stick around and advance, will they stay with that pricing model? We've seen with other tools that pricing models tend to start to grow. They either go from completely free to paid or low cost to higher cost. So keep that in mind. It is fairly attractive though if you are an individual freelancer, and just by saving a couple bucks every month, you keep your overhead a little bit lower for your team, for your developers, so on and so forth. So it can be very feasible. Do the AI tools make me want to switch? Not so much right now. So right now it seems like a fairly dependable tool, a fairly functional tool, pretty decent, really familiar because it seems familiar to other tools you might have used, and the price point might be right for now. So I haven't even had time to check the prototyping capabilities. They seem pretty decent, but that's all I'm going to say about Motiff right now. It could be a good fit for you if the price is right for you, if you're interested in these features and getting in on the ground floor as the features start to scale. Well, that's it. That's my honest review and feedback of this new AI-driven design tool called Motiff. What are your thoughts? I'd love to hear them down in the comments. Also, check the description for some helpful links. And if you watch this video all the way through, then you must be interested in seeing my content. So make sure that you leave a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel, ring the bell so you know when more videos come out. I hope you're having an amazing week. I hope you're designing amazing things, making amazing things, and we'll see you in the next one.